Like sands through the hourglass, so are the days of our lives.
Bringing on the drama on celebrating the arts with an exclusive interview with Daytime Emmy-nominated actress Martha Madison. Her career as an actress on one of the longest-running daytime dramas, Days of Our Lives, playing beloved character Belle Black, and how through playing all the drama keeps it real. Well, I want to give a warm welcome to Martha Madison. Thank you so much for being here with us on Celebrating the Arts, Martha. It's been such a pleasure to get to know you and to have you on my show. It's quite an honor. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I know I feel like we go way back now.
We do. I want to talk to you about your career. And I know that you are this extraordinary actress that's been on Days of Our Lives. Was that your first role, or had you been acting before getting Belle?
I started doing theater when I was just a wee little tyke. I was maybe 6 years old. So I always knew from a very early age I wanted to be a performer. I really was more focused on musical theater through most of my life, but really moved into television when I moved to LA. And I booked Passions like 2 weeks after I moved to LA, and I did like a 3 or 4 episode arc, and that was my first experience on a soap opera. Again, I watched Passions sometimes because I watched Days and it would like lead in,
Yeah.
But it was really weird. And then I booked Days like a few months after that. So it was pretty quick.
You took over a role that was originated by someone else, and you kind of made it your own.
Right.
Talk to me about what were some of the challenges that you faced with that?
Wow, that's such a big question because it really it changed over time. But I was a big fan of Days. I had watched it a long time, and in fact, kind of pushed my way into the audition room because I had heard that Kirsten Storms, who played Belle, was going on to do a primetime show. And she was at the height of her fame too, I think at the time, because she was Xenon on Disney and she was just extremely popular. And I know that, they had seen hundreds of people for this role, and they had actually I was part of their third screen test group. So they had already tested 2 groups of girls and passed on everyone. So I think going into it, I felt how anyone would feel, like this is never going to happen, but I'll go. And I think I was really just excited to do it because I was such a big fan of the show, and it meant I got to go to the studio and I got to see the actors and I got to see the sets. And for me, that's really what was most exciting about it.
Yeah.
And I didn't get the part at first. They gave it to someone else. And so, of course, I was devastated because I went all the way through the process. But I also, realistically knew I wasn't going to get it. And I couldn't wait to see who got it. And at the time, they were shooting 3 weeks ahead. So I only had to wait 3 weeks. And when I watched, I was like, yeah, she looks a lot like Kirsten. She's really cute. She's petite. And there had been some question through the process that I was too old to play this part because I was 7 years older than Kirsten. And, she was the young, kid on the show. So, but the next day after she aired, they called me and said, never mind, come in, we need you right now. And so I think being thrown into it so quickly, I didn't have a lot of time to think about what it all meant and how people would respond. I was really just trying to learn my lines and figure out where my room was, I just didn't have time to really go through that process. But then the feedback started coming in from the fans, and I was airing, and it was definitely a split down the middle. Some people hated me because I wasn't Kirsten and I was too old and I was too mature for the part and blah, 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 blah. And some people were like, oh, thank God, we have this person who's so right for this part. And so, I really I knew from the feedback that I had to just do it my way because I'm never going to be Kirsten. I was never going to hold a candle to that. I had to just do my own. I had to be authentic to the way I would play Belle. And I did have, I've been watching the show forever. So I had some, um, I knew what the essence was supposed to be. And so I really tried to play that, but they were really writing a story at the time that was aging her up. She was losing her virginity. She was falling in love. She, moved into like a marriage scenario pretty quickly. And, I feel like they really wrote for the fact that I wasn't a teenager. And I think a lot of fans didn't like how quickly that progressed either. So, it took me a while to understand that I wasn't going to be for everyone. And I think over time, I've just learned to accept that. I mean, I've been playing this role now for almost 19 years, and I still get people like, I want the original Belle, I want the real Belle. And it's like,
it's not General Hospital.
I know. And Kirsten's amazing and she's wonderful. And thank goodness she's on GH. You can go and check her out there. But as far as Belle is concerned, for now, you're stuck with me.
I've noticed that a lot of daytime actors are theater trained. Mm-hmm. So you think that made some difference in your acting for a soap opera? Do you think that gives you an advantage?
In the respect that in theater, there's a lot of repetition. So, your rehearsal process is just a grind, it's over and over and over. It's nailing it into your mind and body so that there's no chance you're going to go up on a line on stage, So I feel like in that regard, you're used to that type of work ethic. It's you're constantly working, you're constantly finding new things. Soaps has a similar work ethic that's required of you, but it's so fast. Like, it's not about going deep into the scene and finding little nuances over. You don't have time for that. Like, it's about get up there, say your stuff, hit your mark, and get out. Like, we got stuff to do, So in that regard, yes. But I don't think, acting is acting. It's about connecting with the character the best you can. And soaps, it's about doing that as fast as you can. So.
And soaps are such a beautiful thing because you kind of progress with the characters. So I know that, these storylines, the soap storylines are just famous for being just so
wacky.
Yeah, they're out there. I mean, like, the probability of some of these things happening in real life are just, beyond. But has there been a storyline that, that you've read and then you've said, I have to play this? And with that flip side, has there been a storyline that you're like, this was my favorite to do?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, listen, we're not trying to do reality. We're here to do fantasy and fiction and have a really good time doing it. So wacky is good. It is nice to have it, things peppered in that are really relatable. And luckily I've gotten to do both. I think I was just talking the other day actually about this, that they said, so I said, oh, this is back when Belle thought her daughter was Philip's. And they were like, wait a minute, really? And I said, oh yeah, we didn't know it was Sean's. And she was like, well, how did you not know that? And I said, because Sean and Belle didn't know that they had had sex ever. They were in a hypothermic coma, having dream sex, not knowing they were having real sex. And so there was no potential of having had a baby. It was so funny. So that is like wackadoo, and then certainly I got to be part of the devil possession storyline and do a few episodes of Belle being possessed by the devil. So that felt like very legacy kind of stuff. I was very excited.
Yeah, that's my favorite one too. I
mean, I feel like even if you don't watch Days of Our Lives, about Days of Our Lives being the one where the woman was possessed by the devil, right? And so it was kind of neat to say, yeah, I also have been possessed by the devil as well. And then a few years back, we did a big umbrella storyline where Marlena was fighting for her life and the family had to sort of argue out their position on her do not resuscitate order. And it was very heartbreaking. And I felt very relatable, definitely for me, as I had just gone through this with my own mother. But I got so much feedback online and in fan mail, things like that, so many people have had to make these end of life decisions, and how it's really rippled through their families and their family dynamics. And I felt like, Ron Carlovati and his whole team really told that story very well. And it was one of the great honors, I think, of my time on Days to be able to play that out. It meant a lot to me.
Yeah, that's one thing I can say, that when they do these, these stories that Lily and I were talking about, some stories that were on GH, you remember these things,
right.
So
for generations.
Oh my goodness,
your family too.
Yes, and you remember where you were and how you cried and everything. So, having that storyline, which I have to be honest with you, I've never gone through that, but I had to bring myself to turn it off certain times, because it was a lot.
It was a lot for me to play too, but I felt like it was very, for me, it was very cathartic, because I got to really work through some of my own personal feelings on it. And it was, I thought it was a very healing experience for me.
Yeah, it was beautiful. It was, and you played it beautifully. I all of you guys. It's lovely to watch the reality of, like I felt you, you know what I mean? So I really was like, I felt connected, and I was like, I'm gonna have to turn this off, because it really, you just conveyed those feelings, and the anguish and the pain and the sorrow, and the decision in your, like the going back and forth of, do I do it or not? You know what I mean? So it was,
well, thank you.
Congratulations.
For a high compliment for an actor. So thank you.
Did you always want to be an actor?
Always. There's never been a day in my life where I questioned it. The first time my mom came to see me in a play, I think I was 6 years old, and that kind of validation and getting that kind of attention as a kid and all of it just was like, oh, this is I'm gonna do this forever. This is 100%. And I was very fortunate that my mom was completely on board. She said, you do have that, and we're gonna do everything we can to help you within reason. You're still going to college, and you're gonna have a backup plan. But she drove me all over the place for auditions and classes and rehearsals and shows, and I was in all sorts of extracurricular theater programs and music classes and dance classes, and she made that happen for me until I was able to sort of take over. So I was, again, just really lucky to have that kind of support.
Yeah, that's half the battle right there, right? When your parents supports you, that's wonderful.
Yeah, when you say, I want to be an actress, or I want to be a movie star, and your parent doesn't say, oh, please, then you have a chance. That's all it is.
Yeah. What do you think is the toughest part of your career, and what is the most rewarding?
I think the toughest part for me has always been the instability of it. I feel like there's always just this lingering fear for me that it can all end tomorrow, and then what? So that's the hardest part for me. And it has happened to me a number of times in my career, both in my acting career and in my restaurant career, So it's taught me how to be resilient and to covet those backup plans and be ready for anything. The best part is really when, and it's honestly, it's rare, but when you get these moments where you love what you're about to say, you're going to deliver it perfectly. It means something to you. All the things align, and you can give this 1 minute of performance that you walk off and you're like, I don't even know how to describe it, but it's just like you lose your breath for a minute, because it's like the magic happened for a second. And in the times where you walk off and you feel that magic happen, that's when you just know that you're doing exactly what you're supposed to be doing, and that is the best part of it. And I don't know that there's a way to really properly articulate that. It's a feeling. Yeah.
That's beautiful. That really is. And anybody that's an artist would agree with you that is totally a feeling you can't describe. So
Yeah,
That's
and
beautiful.
they're little nods from the universe too that just remind you to keep going. This is what you're supposed to do.
I had the pleasure of being a part of the For Real challenge that you had. And it was such a pleasure because we don't really, on a day to day with social media, we're being kind of spoon fed this fantasy of what is supposed to be, your life. It's supposed to be this picture perfect, gorgeous, filtered. And with that challenge, I felt it really made me be a little bit more open and not so like, oh my God, I cannot show myself on social media with no makeup on. And you really empowered me to do that. So I want to say thank you, first of all, and I get to say it to you in person, which has made my day. I've been waiting to say it to you in person for a while. But do you think that with that challenge, that social media should be that real, or do you think that it should be a nice little balance of real and fantasy?
Well, I think what I was trying to do was show that you can be beautiful in all of your realness, that and that I think, so I posted a picture one day and I didn't have any makeup on in the picture. It was a picture of my daughter and me. I didn't even think about it. And one of my friends said to me, "Oh my God, you're so brave." I was like, "Brave? What are you talking about?" It's a picture of my kid. They're like, "You don't have any makeup on." I was like, "I never have makeup on, like unless I'm at work. It didn't even occur to me. And then it sort of instigated this conversation I had with Lily over dinner. And I was like, it's hard for me to go to social media and see, all this fake stuff from people I know, really know. Why do they do this? Why do they put up all this stuff? And we were talking about, these high rates of depression and our own daughters and how they are perceiving it and what this could mean long term. And I was like, maybe we can do something to have a conversation about it. I regret that it was 30 days, but I was glad that we did it. I felt like it went on a little too long. What I was really surprised about is that the people who joined the challenge with us, they really committed to it. And I loved it. I love seeing that passion. But I was also surprised at how few people really did it. We had a lot of interest in the first few days, or like everyone I knew, they were like, we're doing this. And then crickets. And I was like, this is so interesting. I don't know what the psychology is behind it, whether it's like I'm too busy or I don't really want to let people in, or if it's, if I show my true self, will people still like me? Will they still respect me? I don't know what it was, but I personally believe that the more authentic you are and the more you're willing to share of yourself, whether you have makeup on or you don't, that is the thing that's missing from social media for me, from a lot of people. Not everyone. I have found accounts that I follow that are very true and honest and really make you think. But living kind of inside the Hollywood bubble and knowing a lot of these people on a personal level and then watching their social media, it's just like, I don't know. I don't know what it's all for. Who is it for? Do we need to do this our whole life, or can't we just do that while we're at work? I don't know. Yeah. It's an interesting conversation. I loved that you did it with us.
I love that I did it with you guys, and 30 days is a long time to commit, yeah. but I did it. Woohoo!
And I think it's fine to do filtered pictures once in a while, or show off when you're all glammed up, and I think that's great. But I think that when you're putting a series of your life out that's always that, and you have people who idolize you and want to be like you, it's an impossible standard. And I also don't think that it's a deep, I don't know. I don't think that you can actually connect with people that way for a long period of time. I think it's all, like everything in life, it's about balance.
My show is called Celebrating the Arts. And I love the arts. I came from the arts. So I totally understand when you said that feeling that you get. But I really would like to know, what do the arts mean to you?
They mean everything to me. I think it's very much at the core of my identity. I'm traveling home to Houston next week to receive an honor from my high school, which is really sweet. And they've asked me to sort of write a speech about what high school meant to me. And it's like high school and every bit of school for me was not an academic experience. It was always about me finding my artistic group, my tribe, you know, and it really got me thinking about no matter where I've been in my life or at what age or what stage, it was always about finding people who appreciated music and movement and dance and movies and theater. And, you know, it was very much about my love and passion for that, but it was also the thing that connected me to the people that became the closest to me in my life. So it's a tie that binds me to my people. And that is the best part of it. That's the most important part of it for me.
What advice would you give to somebody who wants to be one day a Martha Madison, that wants to be on a soap opera, that wants to do musical theater? Yeah. What advice would you give them?
Well, I'd start by saying it's completely and entirely possible. Go do it. You know, but you have to do the work, you know, you have to really immerse yourself in the things that give you that feeling, you know. You can't, my mom used to say, if you sit around and wait for it to fall in your lap, you'll spend your whole life sitting. And, you know, you just have to get out there and you have to study it and read about it and go see shows and go to movies and go to classes and do the rehearsals that make you want to like lay down and quit. You know, you just got to push through. Success is very much a result of tenacity in this business. You know, you're going to get a lot of no's and you're going to get a lot of feedback that's going to hurt your feelings, and you have to push through. The success that you want is just on the other side of that, and you just have to keep going. You know, and keep in mind, the world owes you nothing. Like, this is all about what you make it all by yourself. So that's my advice.
Where do you see yourself in 10 years?
I see myself pushing through. See myself, I don't know. I mean, I think it's a futile question, because if you asked me 10 years ago where I'd be today, this wouldn't even be on my radar. So I don't know, but I do know that I will be in a place where I feel happy and successful, because those things really matter to me, and I will do whatever it takes to make those two things true.
Well, Martha, thank you so much. This has been one of my favorites. I know I tell everybody that, but this has been one of my favorite ones, because you're a woman, you're a mother, you're an actress, you're an artist, you're you know, a professional. You're just an extraordinary human being with such a beautiful heart, and it just to have you on my show has just been like, you know, really, I'm not worthy, because to have you on my show to share your art is just my favorite thing. So thank you so much.
So much. That I'm so touched. Thank you so much, and thanks for hanging out with me online and doing my challenge and inviting me on your show. And you're just awesome. Keep it up.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Martha Madison is an incredible talent with a generous soul that is brought out in her work as an actress and in her everyday life. An artist through and through, whose heart feels the arts. It is why Martha Madison deserves to be celebrated.
Making